Hello and welcome everybody. At the risk of sounding like Uncle Rico, we're going to do some American football. All right, this is how a GST football, this is a Wilson GST, made in America, made in the USA, football looks, okay? It's kind of light and orangish. It's made out of leather, and you can see that. I have applied one layer of conditioner to this because I bought this about a month ago, and I've thrown it a little bit with my son. I've been meaning to make this video, so I'm going to just make this video now. So the question I'm posing in this video, Wilson on their website talks about how to game prep a football, a leather football like this. This is like a GST leather football. And on their website, it comes out looking amazing, amazing. But is that the reality? Well, let's step through it. Let's see if we can replicate those results here in my studio. So, Wilson GST, we're going to prep it. Just looking at this real quick, I have noticed this has evolved a little bit, just throwing it around a couple of times with my son. The way I hold a football is just with these two fingers on the laces, and my thumb ends up here, and I notice that there's a little bit of darkening. Not sure if it's going to show up on camera, but with my eyeballs, I can see a little darkening where my thumb resides on this panel. So I'm curious, if this thing will darken up. Lots of brushing and things that you involved with this. So I have all that stuff at my workbench. Let's move over there and see if we can replicate those results. So I already conditioned and brushed the ball, but I'm going to do it again. And I did it according to their instructions where it's like clockwise, counterclockwise, and then crossways and up and down. So, I brushed the ball, even though, like I said, it's already been conditioned, but we're going to follow all the steps from its current state. So then deflate the ball. That's 8 psi, obviously. It was obviously 8 psi, so we're just going to move along here to the conditioner. And again, exact measurements here with 2 parts conditioner and 1 part tack spray, which is funny because this whole process I never sprayed the tack spray, so I'm glad they sell it in a spray bottle. I'm sure somebody out there has used this as a spray. And something that they didn't tell you to do was mix it. I just grabbed a little coffee stirrer here and mixed it up because it seemed like, you might want to mix this stuff up so it's even, the tack and the conditioner. And then it says cover the ball. It didn't really say how, so I just used my gloved fingers and just covered the ball. Did each panel at a time. And then it says to blow dry it. It says you can use a hair dryer or a heat gun. This is a heat gun on a low setting, so it didn't get too hot. And then after blow dry it, it was pretty sticky, but I conditioned it again. Again, cover it, it says, with conditioner. Well, I actually used the same stuff I had already mixed up, the tack conditioner. So you can see it's very tacky. Conditioned, blow dried, conditioned again. Now we apply the mud. First thing, I'm a fisherman. This smells of fishing. It smells like some sort of river mud or lake mud. You know how it is when you're just there on the lake and you're by the mud and it smells of algae and mud? That's how this smells. It's like Wilson's own proprietary algae is growing this or something. And it says to mix it with some water to the consistency of a milkshake. This is a water bottle that's been sitting here for who knows how long, so I just grabbed it and mix it up. Is that the consistency of a milkshake? I'll swirl it around here and show you, but it's what's a milkshake like? Is it like a melted milkshake or like a really thick, you need a spoon milkshake? It didn't say, so we're going to try this and let me know in the comments below how thick your milkshakes are. Either way, I'm going to apply this to the football, and first thing I notice is it doesn't apply perfectly. Like, it's not consistent or smooth. The pebbling seems to absorb more than the texture beneath the pebbling. So again, I just trying to get this every panel individually and try to spread it as evenly as possible, but the orange still shows through. And so that is of concern. The other thing is they said don't get it in the laces because there are holes drilled in the leather where the laces go, and I don't want mud down in that area. So again, hitting every panel, hitting this last panel and being sure to avoid those laces. And then I noticed there was orange on the seams, so I tried to get some mud in the seams and then let it dry. And this is just a time lapse of it drying. I think this was 45 minutes. maybe half an hour, and then I just turned off the camera, came back the next morning. The next morning it was super dry, and I noticed there were some places where there was more mud than others, like around the seams in particular, where I try to get the mud down into those seams so there wouldn't be those orange lines everywhere. And then next step is to brush. Now, on the Wilson website, it says brush the mud into the ball, not off the ball. Based on the state of my review table, some of that mud's going to come off. That's just part of it. It's going to be a two-sided affair. It's going to be brushed into the ball and off the ball. And the parts where I felt like there was maybe a little bit too much caked on, I hit a little bit more with the brush. And this is the same brush that I've been using to brush it. So don't know if they didn't say get another brush, so I just used the same one, trying to follow directions as closely as possible. Finally, we apply this last coat of conditioner. This is just conditioner. I didn't mix any tack in on this. So just condition it and then inflate, and then it says brush one last time. So again, it's recommended these go to 13 psi, and that's exactly 13 psi. Obviously, I measured for sure, wouldn't just eyeball something like that. And then final brushing. We didn't say let it dry or let it sit, it just said brush it, give it a final brush. So I just gave it a final brush here. And I didn't want to hit it too hard because I don't want to wear out the pebbling, because obviously with the mud on there, it seems like you could be kind of abrasive and wear that out. And look at this. It has a nice color to it. However, I do want to point out, I am not a pro at this. This is my first time doing this. So the first thing that I noticed looking at this is it's blotchy. So you can see in the laces, it says keep the mud away from going inside the laces. So it's kind of orangish right here. I'm not sure if that's going to show up on camera, but it is. The other thing is it feels amazing. Like, it's a little bit tacky. My mic is right here. Let me see if we can. It's a little tacky, but more than anything, it has a texture to it. So when I grab onto it, it feels nice. Not like super sticky, but almost a little bit gritty. The other concern I had was putting mud on it. You can see the reason why it's blotchy is probably because I caked it on not evenly. But for me, I was worried that the mud would come off onto my fingers, but you can see my fingers are clean. So it has a nice gritty feel to it, and it's not just leaving deposits on my hand or clothes or anything. So it looks like a nice broken in football, and it feels amazing. I'm so excited to play this. Now, how does it compare to what they show on their website? It's different, okay? Theirs is like, theirs is also maybe a little blotchy, but the football they use is a little blotchy pattern on it anyway, so I'm not sure what that's all about. And I noticed that the line across here is also really white in the photos that they had on the website. So my guess is if I took some conditioner, I didn't do it for this video because I wanted to just, be transparent here. I didn't get super white right here. So this stripe right here, it has some mud still in it. If I went with some conditioner and really cleaned this, got it and got a paper towel and wiped this down, I could probably get this pretty white again. However, I suspect the conditioning they recommend on the website is once a week. I'm not going to do it once a week, maybe once a month. I'm probably going to wait until next spring to do it, is condition your ball. Again, maybe with some of that tack combined with the conditioner. When I do that, I suspect a lot of this, a little bit of mud will come off at a time, and I suspect every time I condition it, this will whiten up. So I'm going to leave you with the before and after video of the ball and what it looks like now. It's super cool. It feels good. I'm actually pretty happy with how it turned out. It looks broken in, and it looks like a good used football. It feels amazing. So let me know your thoughts about mudding a football in the comments below. As usual, thank you to everybody who watches. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe. My name is John Hobby.